Flosstube. My name is Becca, and I'm SamBrie Stitches here on Flosstube and Instagram. Welcome to another special edition of Flosstuber. Today I have a very special guest. Y'all have requested her quite a bit, so I'm so excited to introduce you to Niecy Lynn. You know her from her hilarious stories that everybody loves and beautiful stitching finishes. So how are you doing this morning?
I am great. I hope y'all are great. We finally got a break in the rain and everything's, I think we got nearly 7 inches over the weekend. So yeah.
That's a lot.
We got a lot
now, so trying to stay dry over here. All right, let's jump into some questions.
All right.
The first one is, why did you start a Flosstube, and were there any particular motivations?
I found Flosstube when we had, not this house, but our last house when it was on the market. And I don't even remember how I found it. But I got, you know how when your house is showing, you know, it shows, and you can't have anything out. So right. I had to put up my stitching and everything, and I was just missing it. And then I found Flosstube, so I was like, well, so it was kind of like my little fix of stitching when I couldn't get anything else. So I started watching, and then James Williams came in, and he was like, what are you always watching on here? And I said, well, you know, it's called Flosstube. It's everybody with their needlework and stuff. And he was like, why don't you do that? And I'm like, well, for one thing, I can't do any needlework right now because it's all put up. So, you know, ain't nothing to show. I can show me watching them. I don't think that's very fun. So then when we moved over here, I was still watching, and I had got my needlework back out since then. And he said, you should do that. And so I was like, but he kept on, and finally I thought, you know what? Why not? It'll be a way that you can, that I can ask things I want to know. Mm-hmm. Because I'm always one of these people that thinks if you're thinking it and you maybe don't want to answer it, ask it. You should, because if you're thinking it, probably 100 other people have the same question and just don't want to, you know, just don't want to ask it because they think, well, everybody knows but me, which there are a million things on this planet that everybody knows but me. But I may be a lot of things, but way too proud and probably isn't one of them. So I'll just go on and ask it. So I thought, you know what, why not? And it was a way to, because I also realized that, I mean, people say we enable each other, but I just think of it as helping each other, because I would have never heard about silky threads.
Oh, wow. You
know, and all these things, and let alone all the designers, but different fabrics and threads and things that if I didn't watch, if there wasn't Flosstube and there weren't people out there sharing, you know, how would any of us know?
That was a good point. Yeah.
About these things. So I thought, you know what? Maybe there are people out there that want to know the answers to the same things I want to know. So off I went.
And your channel's pretty amazing. So very good decision.
I like to talk. So.
So the next question is a subscriber's question. They're looking for blogs, new blogs. So do you have a blog?
I have had a blog in the past, and here again, when we put the house on the market and started all that process, I'd been doing one with Micah. I only have one daughter. I have a daughter in the middle of the 2 boys. And we had kind of like a tandem blog that we were doing together. And so I really should get it back up and going and put things on there. I put things on Instagram, and I try to remember to put what threads I used and what fabric, but you know, you don't. So I do have one, but I do need to get it back up and going because I haven't posted on it in probably right at a year, a little over a year. So.
All right. Well, when you do get that going, you should let everybody know, because people are loving the blogs. I know they're a lot of work, so I don't do it. It's too much.
Micah showed me how. I mean, Micah is very tech savvy, and she does, she builds things in the internet. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Very lucky.
So she gets it.
That's good. At least you have somebody, you know, that'll be able to help you go through stuff. All right. The next question is, how did you learn to stitch?
I embroidered when I was a little kid, just because I guess everybody did back then. But I did not learn to cross stitch until I had a longtime boyfriend for many years. And his mom was a cross stitcher, quilter. I mean, all these things. Mancy is like, I would say, a master needlewoman. And she showed me how. I must have been 16, 17 years old. And I just really never quit. I've had spells where I didn't stitch as
Oh,
much,
sure.
but I've usually probably had at least one thing going all the time. So,
Oh, very nice. Do you have a favorite project that you've stitched?
okay, I couldn't go down to one.
That's okay. I think people have found a
So
couple.
I grabbed a few.
Okay.
So I guess one of my favorites is
I love
the Blackbird
that.
casting a shadow box. And I don't know if these guys will stay up if I raise the lid, but to get the glare off. But it is one of my all-time favorites. It was a hard finish for me because you have to do those little square box things.
Yeah, it makes a twist in there.
I struggled with that, but I got it done, and I have promised to do a tutorial on it because it was a booger, I will say. But I have bought a new box, and you can either take these designs and change them out into different seasonal colors because they're not really super, to me, if you change the colors, they don't have to be Halloween or fallish. I changed mine. I think this said Halloween or something, but I just put Blessed Be on mine. So because I wanted to leave it out all through fall. Yeah. But I love this thing, and it has been an all-time favorite, and I always hate when I have to put it back up when the fall time comes over with. So there's that one. This one is probably my latest favorite, and I brought it especially because I brought that one's linen. This is an Aida, and I know so many people think you can't stitch, fancy on Aida, but it's not true.
Yeah, all I stitch on is Aida, so
are just fine, and they are beautiful. And if you're more comfortable on that, if you like the feel of it, stitch with it.
Yep.
I'm one of these people. There shouldn't be. You have to stitch on this. You have to do that. I'm not a good have-to person in any way, and so you should. This is on. I think this is 16 count, some kind of gray. And it's stitched up. I started it as a car project. I'll use Aida, especially if I'm going in the car, because it's so much easier to stitch.
Much easier, yep.
You don't have to worry about getting off. And so I started this as a car project, I think, when we were going to one of our San Antonio trips, and stitched that thing up, and I have loved it. I changed a little bit of the colors up, but not a lot. And I have been crazy about it, always. Love putting it up. Then this one, because it's a weirdie. And some of these I've showed before, but he is, let me see if I can tilt him down. I didn't know that there were different types of fabric, really. And I wanted a big, big piece. Mm-hmm. So I stitched him. He's on 14 count over 2.
Oh, over 2. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you had to use all 6 strands of floss. So I don't know if I can get him. I don't know if he'll show up or not good, but
yeah, I can see like
but he's like on fiddler's cloth or oatmeal or something, and he stitched with all 6 strands over 2. And so he came out to be a 7 count. And that got me my big, big piece, because at the time I didn't even know there wasn't any LNS anywhere around me. And so he was beautiful and in a magazine. And I thought, but I want him to be big. And so that was my solution, was to stitch him like that. So especially if you have vision problems or anything, I love him. I think he's turned out beautiful, and I use him every year. And so you don't have to stitch on 40 count to like it or use it. If you love 40 count, stitch on 40 count, because it is beautiful. If you can see it and you like it, by all means, stitch on it. But if you can't see it or it makes you nervous, this is supposed to be enjoyment.
Yep.
As far as I know, this ain't community service. We ain't having to pay for some bad deeds. So, you should like this. I mean, I stitched that, what does that say? In 1997. Oh, wow. And he comes out every year at Christmas, and I have never said, golly, I wish I hadn't stitched him that way. I love him.
He's gorgeous. I love him. He's gorgeous. Aida does get kind of a bad rap. I only stitch on Aida. That is all I own. That is all I stitch on. So
I don't understand it. Like I said on one of my shows, we ain't guys. We don't have to get in those kind of contests. It ain't like that. you know, just stitch on what you like. And if you want to try something else, try it. And if you don't like it,
Go back.
pass that piece of fabric on to somebody else and get on down the road.
Yeah.
But my all-time favorite is this guy.
Oh yeah, you showed this one recently. I love it.
Yes, this is Primitive Needle Halloween Revelry. And it's my giveaway. It's one of my giveaways for the 3,000 this week. So it is, I started to keep it, the pattern, but I was like, I'm not a pattern collector.
Yeah.
And these aren't, you can't get them. You know, she's passed. The family doesn't want to reprint them. And so it just seems strange for me to keep it because I'm not going to stitch it again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what am I going to do? Wallpaper the house with them? No. So, you know, I might as well pass it on and let somebody else stitch it. It is I think I'd have to say it was my all-time favorite ever stitch.
It is.
I have lots, but
pattern. It is.
I love her design. I do have some of her other patterns that I have not worked through yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I won't hang on to them. And I know there are people that do collect them. And if you like keeping yours just because you like flipping back through them or whatever, that's fine too. But if you're not going to stitch it again, especially these that you can't get, I mean, you can't even find it on eBay or Etsy or anywhere. They're just, and when you do, sometimes things like that are nuts. How much? I mean, it's crazy, you know, expensive.
Yeah.
And so I thought you might as well put that one out there. Somebody could get it stitched before Halloween, you know, and be enjoying it. There's just no use to hang on to it. So
long. Yep. So what do you enjoy most about stitching? Like your favorite thing about stitching?
it keeps my hands busy. I'm kind of antsy person. And so, and James Williams loves to watch some TV. And could you just sit still? And so if I don't have some stitching going, I get up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. And then he's like, you know, and so he can turn on, and we're sci-fi freaks. We do like any kind of sci-fi stuff. So, you know, we can watch Lost in Space, you know, Stargate, Star Trek, Star Wars, any of the things, you know, and run through them, and I can stitch. And he is visual. Not only can he not hear anyway, but he's a visual person. And so he'll say something, and I'll say, honey, they just said that. But he does not listen or hear. Okay. And so I can sit over there and stitch, and I still have to tell him what they're doing on the TV. Because if it's not, you know, if they didn't punch somebody, he's like, why are they mad at each other? I'm like, oh.
You missed it. It was a little while back.
Yes, a little while back, she said, and then he said, and then they all said. And so, you know, he sees it. It's a good thing he's a building inspector, because if it don't, like this,
right in front of him, that's awesome.
It does not exist.
Oh, that's funny.
Never happened.
That's funny.
So it keeps me out of trouble.
Nice. So you did mention the sci-fi. The next question is actually, what's your favorite genre of book or movie? So
I do read a lot of sci-fi, a lot of horror, fantasy. I love that. Since I was a kid, I've read Robert Silversberg, Pierce Anthony, these things. But my two favorite books, every year at Halloween, I reread The Legend of Sleepy Hollow every year. And every year at Christmas, I reread A Christmas Carol.
Yep, those are classics.
So I guess my two of my favorite books, and Out of Africa is another one. I love anything but Aesop Denison. So it's odd, my favorite things that I read over and over really don't fall in my favorite genre per se. Mm-hmm. But I don't know.
Those are definitely amazing classics.
I go back to them again and again and again. They always make me happy. At Christmas, I love to listen to Patrick Stewart doing A Christmas Carol.
Yep.
Which I'm crazy about him. If he comes up missing, don't y'all look in my attic, because I don't have him up there. I swear, it ain't me.
I might come visit if he comes up missing.
If he and Matthew McConaughey come up missing, don't look in my attic, because they ain't there.
You're putting this out there, though, just so you know. So if they come up missing, you're going to be the first person they're going to go to.
But now, see, surely if I was going to do this, I wouldn't have said it, right?
That is true. Good point. Yep.
I mean,
very
come
smart.
on now.
Very, very smart. So what fictional place would you most like to go if you could go to any fictional place?
Man, there's so many millions, I guess, but if I could pick anything, and it, I guess not fictional per se, but when I was a kid, I was to be an archeologist. And so if I could fold space and time, I would go to ancient Egypt. That would be my primo.
Yeah.
And so I guess, any of the Wilbur Smith novels or any of those set in ancient Egypt, I love those. Any of the Elizabeth Peters, she does her archaeology novels, and Amelia Peabody stories. I love those. And so it's not fictional, but if I could have my druthers, that definitely would be what I would pick. That would be and then if you could keep doing it, I'd go Taj Mahal and Rome, and man, I just keep flipping it.
Back in those were some pretty neat eras of time, basically. Yeah.
If you could go see it all going down and get back out in one piece,
yeah,
that'd be mine. That's
pretty cool, actually. I didn't even think about something like that. If you could choose to do anything for a day, what would it be?
I would definitely be an archaeologist. Here again, I'd have to fold space and time, but if you could just be there, push Lord Carnarvon out of the way, and be there when Harold Carter looks in the tomb and finds all such beautiful things in there. I mean, wow. So that would definitely be if I could do it, that's what I'd do.
That's amazing. That would be really neat. Do you happen to have any other hobbies besides cross stitch?
I garden. I do wreaths, flower arrangements, that kind of thing. I like to redecorate seasonally. I do a lot of that kind of stuff. I don't right now. During every couple of years, I get back in a dance phase, and I find an adult dance class somewhere. But around here, you have to drive to it, and I hate to drive, so I don't do that as much as I would like. Just the logistics of it stink. Mm-hmm. I have friends who are very disciplined, and they will get in their car every week and drive an hour, and I'm not that person.
No, I'd rather sit there and stitch for that hour drive.
I mean, if they ever come up with a transporter, I'm going to be the first one to put it in my house. I'm like, I hope I don't get squelched and end up halfway through a wall or anything, but I will be the first one.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, half here, half there, but yes, if I can, because I fly. I hate to fly, but I do fly to get there.
Yep.
But I don't like it. I don't like it. The logistics of it make me very uncomfortable.
Yeah. So how would your friends describe you?
Probably more trouble than I'm worth. It's probably what they'd say. Because they're like, hey, we're all going to go do it. And they're like, will you go if we pick you up? Because they know I'm like the non-driver.
Yeah.
But I hate to drive. But probably mouthy. If I get, if you get me, most time I'm like pretty low key. But when I get crosswise, it's bad.
Go.
It's bad. Katie bar at the door. And so that, I can't be, but they're like, Lord, don't get her riled up, because I will
go off.
Yes. And this mouth has many words. I've told y'all many times, I'm a word person. I'm not a numbers person. And there's all the words in my head, and they all just come out, just tumbling, flying. And and for the most part, I'm usually not repentant. I don't feel bad about it. I did feel bad about fussing at the guy at my birthday, but
yeah, I remember that story.
I did feel bad about that, but because I thought, it probably isn't his fault. Surely he would want to be open if he had said so. I did spend a good chunk of money, and I'll go back and spend more good chunks. So I hope it buys me a little repentance. Somebody said you should send him a note, an apology note. And I said, Lord, I can't have him finding my address. He would come, we'd be gone witch in my front yard.
Just Lord, don't put a return address. You're good.
Yeah. Who's my person I like least in the world, I'm going to put their return address on there.
That's
so
funny.
When the word witch is in their front yard with weed be gone, I'll be like, oh, thanks, what about you?
I was just laughing at that story when I watched your video because I get it. You know, we're all at that point where, you know, we're at that breaking point, and that was yours, and it's understandable, you know. And I'm sure he understood, you know.
It's just, I mean, it's just so, and maybe it's not to other people, but for us, it's so foreign for somebody to say, even though it's for our own good, and I still have my, from when I went to the post office earlier, it's hard, I think, especially for Americans, maybe more than other people, because nobody says to us, you can't, very often.
Correct, yeah.
We don't hear those words.
Yep.
And we don't like them, you know. And so I said, James just laughed because he's like, you said you'll be the first person to stay home till Jesus comes back. And I'm like, yes, because I want to.
Yeah, it's your
Not because
choice.
Somebody said I had to.
Yep, 100%.
You know,
yeah.
You're the first person. I mean, if you tell me I have to, you know that that's the first thing I want to do. You can't do that. Well, I'm going to hide and watch.
Gonna do it anyways.
Hide and watch because it's about to go down. Better turn on the camera, you know. So I think we're all, even kids, you know, kids are just, a friend of mine says her son is, you know, he's usually super laid back and he's just real rough right now. And I said, look, you're going to have to get him a punching bag and a soccer ball and a net. And they're not sportsy people. She's like, you know, I don't want him to do that. I'm like, you're going to have to do something or he's going to start chewing the legs off your furniture, okay?
Yep.
Because he's used to going to daycare and have his friends to play with. And he's just got you and his baby sister. And his daddy, you know, Sarah's work from home. His daddy goes off to work. And, you know, I'm like, he's mad. And y'all are the only people he can be mad at because that's all he's seeing.
Yeah, and he probably is so young to not be able to fully understand why anyway. So,
yeah. Why did this happen to me? Why can't I see my friends? Why can't I go to school like I always do? His birthday, we drove over there and took him some presents and honked, and they came out and we waved at him under the carport and saying happy birthday. And, you know, it's like, dude, this is your 5th birthday. This is huge. And he's just stuck.
It's like, I can't do anything. Yeah, my daughter turned 21 during the quarantine, and it was just like, bars are closed, and, you know, I don't know. It's a hard time for a lot of people.
It is, and all the kids graduating right now, my heart is breaking. Proms, graduations, weddings. I mean, we all get it's for our own good, but it don't mean we have to like it.
Yep, 100%.
It's rough.
How do you prefer to stitch? You use hoop, Q-snap, light, magnifying, all that kind of stuff?
I am pretty basic. I don't, I hoop if it's soft linen, like my Health and Peace sampler right now, I'm having to hoop. And my Blackbird one that I'm doing right now, their song, I'm having to hoop because the linen's softer. I don't like it. I usually stitch just like this.
Oh, okay. In hand, yeah.
Yeah, so I just roll it up in my hand and I just stitch away. And I don't, I use my readers because even after eye surgeries and everything else, I still have to wear contacts and readers, but hey, it's okay. I can see. Not great, but I can see now.
Hey, whatever helps you see those holes, right?
Right. And so I usually just, it's funny because I take my pattern on I usually put it on a thing like this. And then I have a little, and it's gone missing. I've showed it on one of my things. It's a little triangle pillow for holding like a tablet or an iPad or something. And so I put my pattern on like this, and I just set it on my lap, and my lamp, you know, is coming over here. And then I just look at it and stitch away in hand. Well, last week, Kyle asked if she could use my pillow.
You haven't seen it since?
It's nowhere. I mean, since it's just James and I, it's not like when our kids were little, you know, you can have 10,000 toy boxes and things. It's not like that nowadays. And I have looked under every bed, in every closet. All I can figure is when she leaves every day, she takes one of her backpacks and she fills it full of things she thinks she's going to need in the night. And all I can figure is it's got to Micah's house and Micah can't find it. Because it's gone somewhere. I don't know where. So that, and then I use, like, I put my thread on a ring like this. And if it's my DMC, I put them all on little bobbins.
Mm-hmm.
And then I buy these cheap scissors off of Amazon. They're like $12 for 12. And I just put them on here like this.
Oh, that's smart.
And so then, everything drops down in a bag and you're ready to roll. So I just, yeah, or it leaves. And then on my sulkies, I came up with this option with some chenille stems and some beads because I needed to keep them together. So I like it being where I can just, it's all in one. It's not, I don't like digging in a bag. And I haven't ever had any of the floss drops. I see those and they look real pretty. But I haven't tried any of those yet, any of that kind of stuff. So maybe someday.
I just use the rings too, but I just keep them on there, like the fancy floss on the eggs. And I just use the rings. Yeah, that's all I do.
Yeah. That's, and then it's just all there together and it can't slide away down in the side of the chair and all this. So it's all in one little spot.
I'm too lazy.
And I have one in every bag.
Wind bobbins. I can't sit there and wind bobbins. It's
not my favorite. I do it, but this, you can't, the fancy floss, you can't. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I assume there aren't, I don't know. Maybe there are people who put it on a bobbin somehow.
But since it's couple, but I wouldn't. I would just leave it the way that it is.
Yeah, I'm too lazy for that.
So what is your favorite place that you've traveled, and did you bring stitching along with you when you went?
I always take some kind of stitching with me for the plane ride, the car. I am a sun person, so usually if we go somewhere, hot, I can't stitch on the beach because of tan oil and this kind of stuff, sunscreen and all that. And so Mexico or Jamaica, I always thought that nobody could bump Mexico for me. We've been all over Mexico, and of course from here it's such a quick, it's like fast to get there. And then for our 30th anniversary, we went to Jamaica, and I was like, I'll go, but Jamaica ain't going to be able to win me over. But Jamaica was fabulous, and that was better for my stitching because James likes to sleep in, and so I could sit on the balcony and stitch until he was ready to get up. So I'd go for my walk and stitch and all this till he was ready to get up, and then we could start going our doing. So I have been to the when Hannah and Mochi got married, I went up to Washington State, and they took us to Snoqualmie Falls and all this, and it was very beautiful. I was shocked. It was so beautiful because I'm such a hot weather person that I thought, oh, this ain't gonna be my gig. But it was so beautiful. They got married on is it Virginia V, Virginia 5? That little, it was used to be a little ferry boat, and it's right there on the lake. But it was beautiful, and it was at night, and so it started right before dark, and then the boat went around the lake at night.
Oh, wow.
It was beautiful. And so I loved it. I was shocked that I loved it. Colorado, I get altitude sickness.
Yeah.
Heights don't bother me, but I got altitude sickness, and I didn't sleep for 6 days.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So I can't love the mountains in Colorado because they don't love me.
You could just love mountains from afar. They're really beautiful to look at. So
they were lovely, but man, oh man, that was something else.
Oh, wow.
No good.
So what can you not do without for your stitching? Like your must have?
Well, nowadays it's my readers. I don't like that it's my readers, but it's my readers.
That's what I'm wearing right now. I wear them all the time, basically.
I gotta have the readers because if it's close now, I can't see it. So I guess it would definitely have to be my readers. I don't have fancy scissors or anything like that. So I guess probably my have to would be my readers, and then I like a board to put my pattern on.
Yep.
I know that a lot of y'all know how to do on your iPads and things like this. And I haven't tried any of that yet. So I don't know if I ever will, because I don't know if I'm that brave. But that would be me. I'm so old school. It just has to be a chipboard.
Hey, it works. It keeps it nice though. That's the thing. It keeps it nice.
And I usually do make a working copy. I usually do make a working copy. That way, if it gets all smashed up,
it's smart. Yeah.
You know, no worries. Or if it, like the one thing I haven't made a working copy of in 100,000 years was that Make Health and Peace, and you see it got 16 ounces of coffee on it. So
lesson learned, maybe.
Woo! I should have copied those 27 pages.
Yeah,
Lord.
That story gave me a little bit of a heart palpitation there when you were telling that.
This bar was covered with pattern pieces. I was like, oh my Lord. Because I just had to spread them all out and try to hope they would dry.
Right. Yep.
It is a very well-made pattern. Milady's Needle put out a very well-made pattern because it didn't run. The paper's wrinkly, but that pattern is still perfectly legible.
Wow. That's effective, because I thought maybe the ink or something would run, or like the thinner paper would kind of like,
go away.
Yeah, like get fuzzy or however it does. Yeah.
Yes. And then it just rips in two. So I was like, oh.
You got lucky. Very lucky.
Yes. I was like, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, that's funny.
Jeez.
So how do you decide on what you're going to work on next?
I usually kind of have, I guess kind of like a baseball lineup. I have a couple of things in the roster, and then I just pick who's on deck pretty close to the end of a stitch. Like this, I'll finish this up today, and I have another piece cut to start my next piece, but I'm thinking I'm going to bump it and do one of the others that I had laid out. So I'll have to cut fabric for it.
You basically.
Yeah, so I just keep a couple that I know I'm probably going to pick from, because like right now I'm doing a patriotic stitch. I'm a seasonal stitcher.
Yep.
And so I try to keep something that I'm working on, that's not seasonal. I used to be completely monogamous, but especially now that we're all at the house so much, and I had never thought I would like to be a non-monogamous stitcher, but that way when something gets in trouble, you can put it in timeout and pick up something else and not have to be frustrated. I can just, you go over there, timeout, and think about what you've done.
Yep, that's smart.
So I'll just, I have a couple that I'll pick from, and then just start on that, whatever one. There's usually 5 or 6 that I know I'm going to start one of these couple next.
All right. So the final question is, what is the best thing that has happened to you so far this year?
So far this year? Well, it may have been when CJ called this weekend to say the doctor said he had the flu and not the COVID-19.
That is a blessing. Even though I guess it wouldn't be a blessing to have the flu, but I guess in that sense, yeah.
Yeah, I said, how many times in your life will you ever say, thank God you have the flu?
Yeah, exactly.
That we've all, in the midst of all these health crises, we've managed to skirt that. Like I said, I think we had it at the end of November. We met every criteria. So I think when they test for antibodies, we had been to Disney, but we're thinking maybe Justin works in New York most of the time, my son-in-law. And we think he's super young and healthy, but he had this cough he couldn't get rid of and just didn't feel great for weeks and weeks. So we blamed it on the airport, but we're wondering if actually Justin didn't get it in some of his travels and bring it back. So, because he had been to Cincinnati, New York, Detroit, and just several, places that up that region all of a sudden was just a big explosion.
Yep.
But we all strep negative, flu negative. So I guess the fact that even though we know people firsthand that have, even in this area, there haven't been that many. We know them. Maybe it's because there's not as many people here, but
maybe, yeah.
Everybody knows everybody is the truth. But we have, so far, none of us been ill, and we have been very fortunate. All the kids they've worked the same. James Williams has worked the same. Their work hasn't been affected. so we've been very fortunate in this super crazy hard time for, everybody in the world. Thus far, we have been unscathed by this. So, and the girls come every day. So I haven't been by myself. They come in the day, and of course it gives Mike and Justin the chance to work without them being there.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the other people they work with. Justin's like a senior VP level type person, and he says people I work with are still having to work and have these super important meetings, but their kids are running in, and it's so hard on them and their kids. And so the fact that they've been able to continue to work without having to worry about the girls, they just bring them the same, they come the same every day, and the girls haven't had to be so angry. They haven't understood why we can't play with people as much, and why we can't go to Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, play areas, things like that.
Yeah.
But, we really have come through this completely blessed, super thankful that we have not had any bad effect from this so far. So that would be, I would say, just because so many people can't say that right now. It's
That's true.
So yeah, just the fact that we have stayed head above water in the same situation. Nobody's lost their job. Nobody's, they just changed to work from home, or CJ kept going in, but they sent most of the other people home and just kept about 6 of them there. So I guess that would be just a super huge, huge blessing that we have not had any problems with this. We've had a lot of fun, before all this started, even though the year was short. Even the weekend before, we had Keely's a baby, and we had his birthday. Mm-hmm. And so we went to Top Golf, and, the girls bring their little wiki sticks and things, and, they played and all this, and, we all ate. And so we were together, one last good fun time before all this, went down. So yeah, just super thankful that we have not had any sickness, illness, financial, repercussions or anything. We've been very blessed, very blessed.
That is great. That's great to hear. I'm so glad that your family has been, safe and fortunate with the jobs. And
yeah, I mean, what are the odds, the 3 kids and all their spouses and significant others. But I do know also down here, we haven't had quite the time that up northeast or up northwest, either one, that y'all have had as far as business and shutdowns and things. Down here, they scaled back, but a lot of things still kept going some. So, but, we didn't, I don't know if it's because we have more space or what, but we didn't get, our numbers didn't ever get, as horrible. So
yeah,
it's been rough.
Different areas got hit differently. So yeah. We're still pretty much shut down here, slowly reopening. So I'm pretty sure January timeframe, I think that I got it too. I went to the urgent care, and it was 2 weeks of literally I couldn't move off the couch.
Yes.
And urgent care tested me for everything and said, sorry, we can't help you. You have this nasty virus. And I'm like, so when the antibody stuff starts going, I think I'm going to get tested too, because that's the only explanation. Because I think it was in this area about December-ish, I want to say, for us in Washington. So
yeah, y'all got earlier.
It was horrific. Like the pain.
Yes, it just zapped.
Yep.
I just laid there.
Yep.
Just literally laid there.
That's me too. Mm-hmm. I tried driving, and I kept almost falling asleep, and I was like, yep, not happening.
I'm not okay.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it was crazy. So all right, well, that is the end of all the questions. This was a lot of fun. This was one of the longer ones too, so people are going to love it.
Oh yeah, y'all know I can talk a hole through fence. So
well, I thank you so much for taking time out of your day and doing this interview.
I enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. And we're going to say bye to everybody on Flosstube.
Bye, y'all. Enjoy your stitches.